I'm your host, Wes Tankersley, with my co-host, Robert Watson, and my 5 o'clock alarm going off. What is going on, Robert? Good morning. The day before we all eat a lot of food.
Overeat?
Overeat, yep.
Yep, that's it. Well, you know, it's funny because we're going to get to do the last chapter, chapter 36 of the book called Celebration. And it was interesting because my quote for this morning was, and this is for you and I
Okay.
too. It's if you and I get together to celebrate in a year, what will we be celebrating?
What will we be celebrating? What did I just do? That is a good question. What will we be celebrating? You have to, and the thing that's really cool about that is you can start thinking about like the goals and the things like that. So it has damn near been a year since the book has been out, has it not? What do we got about
March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting close to a year since the book came out. So let's talk a little bit about what you get to celebrate with that book. How has it been going with it?
It's going good. I mean, I've sold, I'm closing in probably on like 800 copies. So, for somebody who's not doing any marketing, that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is marketing.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, direct marketing.
Real marketing. Is that what you're talking about?
Real marketing with real people who know what yeah. So yeah, but the thing is because my son, when I asked him, he said success. And I said, we're really not going to celebrate success. You're going to get together because we're going to celebrate something important. Like,
right.
You're getting married, you're having a child, you're graduating from college or whatever. I don't know what it is. But then that causes you to reflect on every facet of your life and say, for example, you look at your relationship. Okay, what are we going to be celebrating? Are we going to just be celebrating just another year together?
Not for
Or
me.
are we going to be celebrating something cool? Right?
Well, we got 25 years in this house.
Yeah, so you can recalibrate. Is this going to be your 25th?
It's going to be 25. I was just thinking about that as you're saying that. I'm like 25 freaking years.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is a pretty big one. Yep.
But yeah, you get to celebrate these interesting milestones in your life. I've had a lot of milestones this year. But I wanted to know, the question was, what am I going to be celebrating a year from now? Because it isn't any fun to say, well, I've finished my first semester in my PhD program. Oh, okay. So,
Thanks, Spirit Gunslinger. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even though, like, that's the hard part for me, like, celebrating. Okay, so 25 years is a big thing, right? Just like getting a PhD, getting a master's degree, getting those degrees and things like that. Those are huge things. But then my mind always goes to, well, what's next, right? Like, 50's on the way, for the wedding anniversary, and is it going to be a huge sales milestone this year, or is it going to be, branching out? Is the podcast going to blow up? Is whatever there can be, whatever you can do to just keep pushing forward every single day, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because in the book, the chapter is a night dive, and it's with my ex-wife, and we're on a night dive, and we're about, I guess, 60 feet. We're doing a pretty serious drift dive, and all of our lights are probing in the darkness because it's really, really dark at 60 feet.
Yep.
And so all of a sudden we hear these banging on the tanks. And basically what it is when you hear banging on the tanks, that's giving you the idea to go look for where the flashlights are, where our torches are. And so we look, and all of a sudden we see our dive master, and he's running a nurse shark. In other words, he's with it, right?
Oh, geez.
And so the shark probably, I don't know, 6-8 feet long. It's a nurse shark. It's not dangerous or anything, but
yeah.
In the darkness, it looks kind of bizarre, right? So it's coming at me, and it just so happens my ex is right next to me, and the at me part, I'm looking at it, and go, oh, this is so cool, because I go inverted, right? I just roll over with the shark and kind of no big deal. Well, she doesn't take it the same way. She's shark and goes for the surface.
Right.
Well, we're at 60 feet, and so all of a sudden I hear her screaming as she's going up. And I'm like, what are you doing? You'll die. This will give you the bends. This will kill you. So I grab a hold of her legs to provide resistance. As she's kicking her way to the top, I grab a hold of one of her legs, and I'm just kind of holding on and trying to create drag.
Yeah.
And so we finally get to the surface, and I look at my dive computer, and it says slow, slow, slow on it, which means I've came up too fast.
Yeah.
And so now we set for the next 30 to 45 minutes to see if the bends are going to set in.
Right.
Right. And so the idea is that in that point in time, what were you grateful for? Well, I was really grateful 45 minutes later that I didn't have the bends.
Yeah.
And that I didn't spend the next couple of days in a decompression chamber. That's what I was really, really grateful for. So it's funny, you're talking about the big things, 25th anniversary, da 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 da. And then what you're talking about in that moment is I'm glad I'm not spending the next couple of days in a decompression chamber.
Right. Yeah, and I think that we get lost a lot of times. Like we've talked about this before, like what it takes to think about the situation and find the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like that was one of those things where that is you're lucky you didn't have to do that, right? It would have been a pain in the ass. You would have lost days of your life. It wouldn't have been very comfortable. A lot of things that could happen bad from that. And I think that we always go to the negative, like we always go straight to the negative instead of trying to find the right side of that, right? Paying your bills, having a car payment, those things. What do they do for you? It sucks because it costs you money, but on the same token, it allows you to do a lot of things. And so luckily,
absolutely,
you made it up to the surface. You were fine. It wasn't a big deal, but it could have been much bigger. And you can be grateful for the fact that you didn't have to miss out on a lot of things.
Well, and I was grateful that I paid for the insurance, which on my diving, that I paid for the insurance for them to come get me and put me in a decompression chamber because I actually paid for that.
Right.
That was a thing back then, and it makes perfect sense. And so what it does is it tests your resolve as a human being. It tests your planning. How well did I plan?
Uh-huh.
Well, I know how well she didn't plan because she went to the surface. When I got to the surface, I said, what the hell are you doing? And I was, just aghast at, she knew better. She is more seasoned diver than I was.
Right.
She had double the dives I did. What were you doing? What did you think that shark was going to do to you that the bends were not going to?
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. It's fight or flight, right? Like that's a natural thing. But knowing, I didn't know that she had done this. Like she's done it multiple times more than you. But you would think that one of the things that you do when you know that you're going to go because this could be a big issue that you have is kind of do the homework. Know that that's not a dangerous shark or whatever it is. Like kind of know your surroundings, know what you need to do.
Sure, yeah. Sure. I mean, there's only really a couple sharks that matter to you underwater. They're real identifiable. I mean, a great white's real identifiable. Number one, it's not in Cozumel. Yeah. So immediately there's only two sharks that are down there. One of them's a hammerhead. And you're like, well, that's real easy to see, and they travel in pretty large groups. And the other one's a tiger. This wasn't a tiger. What was it going to do? Gnaw you to death? Yeah. I mean, this was not a dangerous situation, but it is curious to see how fast people go to fight or flight.
Right. Yeah, it's an amazing thing that will happen with a lot of things, and how you react to the situation can be really detrimental to your life in general.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think the point I try to get to in gratitude is, number one, I want to be able to celebrate at the end of the year, and I want to be able to celebrate something, but it causes me to recalibrate my life, and it causes me to rethink everything. Like, okay, so I'm going to be grinding my way through a PhD. Do I want to publish this next year? Now, I'm not in control of publishing. Somebody else is publishing my stuff, so I'm not in control. But do I want to submit like 3 papers to be published? What are my goals? What do I want to put in the process? What can I control? Right? Like I can't control whether they publish me. I can control what I put out. I can't control, for example, that let's say I wanted to improve my relationship with my other half. I can't really control that.
Yeah.
I can control what I do. I can't control the output.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think, a lot of times there's situations in life, like in general, like you think about like a job. Like I hear people a lot of times saying, well, I can't, or my house or whatever it is, I can't make a difference. And like when you sit there and you get that defeated thought process in your brain that you can't do it, it's really not that you can't do it, it's that you won't do it, because you have to get a little bit uncomfortable Well, I live here and there's no way I'm going to get out of here. Well, my parents were poor, so I'm going to be poor. Like these things are those situations that what I really love about that is the diversity of what pushes you through to keep you going, finding a reason to keep going. It's not the end of the world that your parents were poor. Just because they were poor doesn't mean you can't find a way. You just have to be willing to try. You have to be willing to find a way, do the work, make it happen for yourself. And I think that a lot of people get lost. They just don't understand that it is really up to them to make it work, to make it happen. And you have to just keep moving forward.
I have this communications theory professor, really wonderful guy. And so what he did at the front of the semester was he said, listen, I want you all to get the opportunity to be published. And we're all looking at him like, huh? That's a big deal for peer publishing. He said, no, but what you can publish pretty quickly is a book review. Like, huh, okay. So, and he gave us a list of publishers that you can publish book reviews. And the idea is you go find a book that you want to read and you submit your review to the journal or whatever it is. And so I just kind of went, oh, okay. It's intimidating because you don't know the process. You've never been there. So basically, I took the first one on the list and I reached out to them and I got no response. I took the second one on the list. I reached out to them and I got a response and I said, what do you think about doing this? And they said, that's fine. I went ahead and submitted the book review. They accepted it. And I get published on, I believe it's Saturday.
Again.
And what was so shocking was